Hello, Anita. This is Greg Wells with the eLearning Consortium. Are you in?
Yes, I am.
Hi, Anita. How are you?
I am doing well.
Good. Hey, I'm going to be assisting you with kind of the moderation for your presentation. Anything you need right now?
I can't think of anything right now. I look like I'm ready to go. I got my presentation window open and I'm in the room. And it sounds like my audio is working, but my video, I guess, is not yet. Should I go ahead and start that now?
Yeah, I also made you co-host, so you should be able to share if you were planning on sharing. There you are. Hello.
Okay, hello. All right, so there we go.
I've been working from home for 3 weeks, so you don't want to see me. So
Okay, I understand.
you look a little more professional than I look right now.
Oh, well, thank you. This was special. So this is the day I made for that professional look.
So I'm here to help you. So I did a moderation earlier this morning. We can handle questions any way you would like, meaning if you want to wait till the end to respond to questions, if you see something in the chat you want to respond, however you would like to do that.
Okay. I'm thinking that we'll wait until the end to get ready for just so that I can make it through all the content and then do the questions at the end, unless there's just something really burning in the chat that needs to be addressed.
Okay. I'll go ahead and mention that as we get started. And then I'll just let you, excuse me, I'll just let you introduce yourself if that's okay.
Okay, sounds good.
All right. I'm just admitting people as we're speaking, so I'll let you get ready, and if you need anything, holler.
Okay, I'll go ahead and share my, start my presentation. Well, not start it, but I'll go ahead and share the screen. So that I'll be ready there.
Sounds good.
Okay.
We have about 5 minutes, Anita, till we start.
I think I need to go and put my computer on Do Not Disturb real quick.
I'm going to ask that everybody mute themselves. In the previous one, I have the option to mute all, but for some reason it muted the speaker too. So I don't.
Okay, that
I don't want to mute you. So
that wouldn't be good.
No, that wouldn't be good.
Go get there. About 3 minutes till start time. I had my captions up there for a minute and it's still. Okay, so I'm gonna
We have
stop.
about 1 minute, Anita.
Okay. And I just lost my ability to do my closed captions, but I'm going to try again.
For your presentation?
Yes, okay, now there it's back.
Good.
So, let's see. Now I just need to share. And there we go. I'll get my timer. All right, good afternoon, everyone. So glad that you could join me today for our session on harnessing technology, specifically to supercharge social emotional learning. My name is Dr. Anita Waters, and I am very passionate about this subject. So I'm looking really forward to sharing with you guys today. I was so anticipating this session. I think I jumped on the Zoom call like 2 hours ago, then 1 hour ago, and then now I'm here now. So I'm really excited to be here. I am from Dallas, Texas. Dallas ISD is where I am currently working as a professional and digital learning coordinator, and that's a really long title, which just means that I provide professional development for teachers in the district, district-wide, and do learning opportunities for new teachers as well. And I am an advocate for equity in technology. Again, I'm really glad to be here with you today. So I hope that I don't appear really exhausted, but last night my college son, who decided to stay in his room, is one of the few universities that remained open through this crisis. He had decided to stay, but then last night decided to come home, and his car broke down about 150 miles away from where we are. So we drove about 8 o'clock. We left to drive to go pick him up and bring him back home. So I had a really late night. So needless to say, I hope I don't appear as tired as I'm actually feeling right now. So let's get on with it. Today's objectives, we're going to review what social emotional learning is just really quickly and look at the benefits. And then we're going to jump right into looking at some technology tools that you can use in your environment to boost social and emotional learning. This is one quote that caught my attention not long ago, and I think it's so relevant today. But it was a quote that was done by Fred Astaire many, many years ago, which says, "The hardest job kids face today is learning good manners without seeing any." And so when we think about in the context of social and emotional learning and being intentional about teaching kids those skills to have good manners and to have good social and emotional skills, we need to really be intentional. And this quote just really stands out as one that is still relevant today. So I have this here just as a reminder of how relevant it is to things that are going on in our society with kids today. We hear so many different reports about how kids are stressed out. And, I can't even imagine having some of the worries that kids come to school with. And I'm reminded about several stories that I have heard of throughout the United States. And one in particular was Gabriel, who was a student, who was an elementary school student, who had been bullied so much that he went home and looked up bullying and looked up suicide, in fact, on his school-issued iPad. And then he carried out that act in his home, which was really sad. Another student across the United States country named Gabe from Ohio, I believe, was one who had been bullied at school, had been going to the bathroom, and kids had been meeting him in there, and he felt so badly about what was going on that he took his own life. And what was really sad about it is that the community, or the school community, had videotaped the incident where students were just stepping over the other boy. Nobody was standing up for him. And he didn't have an outlet, evidently, so he went home and took his life. There have been several instances of girls who, and one in particular in the Houston area, where a girl who was 17 was attacked by a gang of other girls and beaten and left for dead, and she suffered severe injuries. So our kids these days are going through a number of things, which makes it really necessary to be intentional about teaching them the social and emotional skills that they can use now in their childhood and later throughout life. So let's take a look at what social and emotional learning is. And we'll take a look at it through the definition of CASEL, which is the Collaborative on Academic and Social Emotional Learning. They're an organization who curates resources for communities and schools, and they conduct the research that helps us understand the need for social emotional learning. And they say that the process through which, this is their definition, the process through which children and adults understand and manage emotions, set and achieve positive goals, feel and show empathy for others, establish and maintain positive relationships, and make responsible decisions. The key words here is to understand is that this is a process by which children and adults understand and use all of these key sets, these key, I'm trying to think of the word, all these skills that people need to live throughout their life. It's not just something that you use in your childhood, but these are skills that are developed and we use every day as adults. So let's take a listen to what CASEL has to say. Whoops. Okay, looks like there it is. Take a listen.
Social emotional learning is essential.
It's the tools that kids need to be resilient, to be problem solvers, to be good people.
SEL is really about the holistic development of young people.
SEL is trying to bring a balance to the individual and what are the personal competencies you need to develop to be successful. How do you pull them all together so that kids can relate and navigate the world more effectively?
The myth was that knowledge was information that could be bolted onto a brain like any other kind of mechanical part. The truth is, knowledge is constructive. The truth is, all learning is relational. The truth is that emotion drives attention, and attention drives learning.
Social and emotional learning is about how you do school. It's about what the student experiences, what the student learns, how teachers teach.
We can think about schools and classrooms, out-of-school time spaces, families, etc., as places where there's an exchange of knowledge about the world, knowledge about yourself, and knowledge about the other persons that you're interacting with. All of those kinds of experiences, I think, help form and expose and shape the ways in which young people understand themselves and other people.
And we start talking about the whole child. Does your child understand self-awareness? Do they understand social awareness? Do they make good decisions? Are they responsible? And then we start talking about what that applies to academics and looking at all the essential skills we need them to be successful in life.
Children learn when their heart is open, engaged, connected, and filled with purpose.
Learning is magical, and through SEL, we can create conditions that allow all kids to access that magic.
So from here we can see that social and emotional learning really is at the foundation of all learning. And from my experience, that's where it begins. If kids don't have those skills, those basic skills, then they struggle academically. So why is it important? Well, here are the things that research has shown that social emotional learning, intentionally being taught, helps kids to do. It helps them to develop a growth mindset, so they understand that I'm not just the way I am right now, but I can make improvements to myself and I don't have to be perfect. It also helps them to manage their stress, control impulses, which is a really big one that we see in classrooms today. Intentional social emotional learning helps teach kids how to control those impulses. It helps them understand others who are different from themselves and develop empathy, increases relationship skills, and helps them develop responsible decision making. Here is the framework that is the CASEL framework, and they take 5 competencies which are included in the definition of social emotional learning, and they base those on the classrooms, schools, homes, and communities. And each of the 5 competencies are equal in nature. So you'll notice that it is a circle and it's not a linear process. So you don't have to consider starting in one place with one competency and working your way around through the different competencies. You can you develop as a person in all those different areas simultaneously. In this model, they show how classrooms help support SEL with their curriculum and instruction. Schools can help support by providing school-wide practices and policies. And you may have seen this in school-wide with the Leader in Me program. That is one example of a school-wide practice that supports social emotional learning. And then your home and communities also support this effort by partnering as family and communities. So social emotional learning in anything we do in instruction should be embedded into the instruction, and you have to know that It is not a separate set of curriculum, and it's not a separate set of tasks that you plan, but to be the most effective, it should be embedded in everything we do. If you grew up in the time that I did a long time ago, we had social emotional learning, but we just didn't have it tagged that way. We played games, we did puzzles, all intentionally. Parents and teachers embedded those activities into the classroom environment, into the home environment, so that we would have different experiences that helped us to grow. For instance, I can remember having puzzle centers in a daycare environment that helped me to develop patience and critical thinking skills. All of those kind of things, while not a separate set of curriculum, helped with social emotional learning back then. So we're going to take a look at the tools you can use from the lens of each competency. So I'll share a competency and its goals, and then I'll share some tech tools that relate to building those goals in that particular competency. So the first one we have is self-awareness, and many people like to think of this as a place to begin teaching social emotional learning, and it often is a place that we talk to early childhood students about, and they grow from there. And it is to identify your emotions. One of the goals is to help you establish your self-perception or identity, recognize your strengths, and grow your self-confidence and self-efficacy. And so some of the tech tools that I am going to show you involve blogging, digital portfolios, and vision boards. One of the first ones is EduBlogs, and EduBlogs is free for teachers. By a show of hands or thumbs up on your Zoom board, if you give a thumbs up, how many people have used EduBlogs or know about EduBlogs? If you could just click on a reaction thumbs up. Okay. Well, this is one I'd like to share, and it's Miss Blessing's class blog. And in her class blog, she has created a blog where she places information about things that are happening in the class, but also she allows you to see, or she allows each of her students to have an individual blog, which is posted to the class. And you can see here Bee Buzzer's blog and Frog's blog. So they still maintain privacy, but they have a place where they can place artifacts of learning or feelings or things like that. And let me know if you cannot see this screen. Is everything okay there, Greg? Okay.
Sorry, Dr. Water. Yes, it's
Okay.
a little blurry, but not too bad.
Okay. So I'm just going to click on Bee Buzzer's blog so you can see the kind of things. They can post photos. As a teacher, you might post a topic that you want students to respond, and then they write about it. A really good way to get in touch with yourself and to see your growth over time. So that is EduBlog. Great way of building self-awareness. The next one is an amazing application that I've recently discovered, and it's called Seesaw. And Seesaw is amazing for so many different reasons, but for this one, it's great at building self-awareness because it does have that blogging piece built into the classroom. Seesaw is free for teachers. And how many people have used Seesaw? You can just click on your reaction button if you have a thumbs up. I love Seesaw because it gives opportunity, especially for early learners, gives them an opportunity to show mastery in a variety of different ways. But it's also great for building self-awareness because it has that blogging piece. of the classroom where the teacher can set up a classroom blog, but then students can see their actual growth over time by posting. And additionally, if you've ever used a check-in system in your classroom as a teacher, you may have students as they enter say how they're doing or point to a facial expression to say how they're feeling that day. You can create a check-in, whether it's daily or weekly, online. And this is especially useful today when we're doing at-home learning and teachers aren't seeing their students face-to-face. This is a great avenue to be able to check in your students. I've seen on the secondary level where teachers are sending out forms where students can fill out to say how they're doing during this crisis. But here's something that is tailored to early childhood, so they could just click on. You don't even have to be a reader because you can embed an audio to give directions. But students can click on to say how they're feeling today. They can add a drawing or a photo or however you like so that you can get a sense of how they're doing and their emotions. Great tool for building self-awareness. And that was Seesaw. Additionally, the electronic vision boards. Now, I grew up with lots of vision boards, doing vision boards throughout my childhood and even in college, and still today, I sometimes will do a vision board the old-fashioned way where you get the poster and you collect magazines and you cut out the pictures to say whatever theme it might be, what you want to be when you grow up, or it might be goals that you have. This is an excellent way of building self-awareness, but you can turn that into something electronic. And kids really love, since many of the students that we teach today are digital natives, they really love the idea of creating and putting together some type of vision board online. So here's one example of a student who created a vision board, and you can see that it's possible that they want to be in the medical profession, and they have a dream car, dream house, and dream vacation, and even future family life there. Glockster is also free for teachers to start and use. And you can give direction to your students and they can post things in to this vision board. Okay. All right, so we have Glockster there for vision boards. Another vision board tool is Google Slides. Google Slides allows you to really get detailed into a project. So if you had what you want to be when you grow up, they can really go into more detail, include some text on their slides as well as pictures. And I'll show you an example here. So here's a vision board by one lucky student. And of course, he put his dream car there first and, wanting to continue to work out with track. And so you can go, and there are lots of different things you can do creatively with Google Slides. And then you can share your link to Google Slides on a learning management system that you're using so that all the kids can see each other's projects. So you have Google Slides as a way of building self-awareness. Now we'll move on to self-management. This one is a really big one that teachers see a lot of in schools that students struggle with, and that is impulse control, knowing how to wait your turn, having a little patience, having some self-discipline. The goals of this is to help you develop goal setting skills, perseverance, being patient, and controlling your impulses. And we've had these kind of things built in traditionally, but now we have to be a little more intentional about getting that practice in for students. And you'll see in some of the tech tools how you can do that. The tech tools that address this goal are going to be the ones that have included in their apps mindfulness and game playing. Many self-management tools are developed by playing games. One of the most popular active apps is Go Noodle, and you may have heard of that. I have these games listed on this slide: red light, green light, Simon Says, Duck, Duck, Goose, Freeze Tag. So if you're around my age, you remember some of those games, and those are some active ways where we were learning self-management. They may not have told us that in school, but actually we were building the skills to have impulse control, perseverance, and self-management. So we want to intentionally build those skills into what students experience today. And sometimes we have to do it intentionally, and we can do that through technology using Go Noodle. I'll have to mention that, and I won't go there, but Go Noodle has partnered with in some communities. It has a partner like with a children's hospital here in Dallas, so that we get the extension version where it gives you online curriculum that you can tie it to your standards, as well as the movement, the bullying, and all of those things. Some of my favorite activities are listed here below, which are Freeze It, Fit the Sitch, and On and Off Flow. Freeze It is basically put to music. It's just like a freeze dance or freeze. It's not freeze tag, but it's a freeze dance. You play the music, countdown, you freeze, and then you may have some type of academic thing loaded in that activity that you'll do in between time. Fit the Sitch, which I love, is these guys, they go around and they have a videotape of themselves in different situations, and they tell you how you should act. Like, what do you do when you're in the library? You're quiet. What do you do when you're on the playground? So that's a great one. And then On and Off Flow just gives you the mindfulness tools that you can use. So that's building self-management with Go Noodle. Next, we'll go to social awareness, which really has to do with understanding differences and developing empathy for those who are different than you. And you can do that through team building apps and also games. You'll notice that games are in here a lot because we learn so much, or kids learn so much in playing games. And games are an excellent way of team building and really becoming aware of others and differences and building a respect for others. So because it includes games and activities, I've put in Go Noodle, and some of the activities that I like to build social awareness with kids are the awesome upstander. So knowing what an upstander is very important today to students, because the bullying is so prevalent in today's schools that we need to be teaching students how to be upstanders. We want them to report bullying, but we also want them to stand up for others and show respect for others' differences. So there's a great activity on Go Noodle regarding being an awesome upstander. It gives them the language and the tools they need to use to be someone who stands up for a friend. There's also Be a Good Friend that I recommend, that activity, and Building Patience on Go Noodle. Social awareness comes in when you recognize differences, and sometimes you can get that by reading about people who have different experiences or who are different, have different backgrounds than you. And while there are so many e-readers out there right now, one of my favorites is Get Epic. That can be found at getepic.com. It's an electronic reader that is free for teachers, and I like this one because you can set this one up for your classroom, so you can have students loaded in there, and you can assign topics based on individual student needs. You can set up groups in, and you can also, I've also used it as a platform for read alouds to share stories of different people on the whiteboard. So this is a great tool, and it is free for teachers always. not only that, you can talk to parents, and parents can be connected to Get Epic. They can also subscribe for, I think it's $5 to $7 a month, where they can have their students reading at home. That may be different now that everything's at home. They might be even doing some things for free. I don't know. But it's an excellent resource to build social awareness, because they have a variety of diverse books about different people on there, and that will help you develop. They even have social emotional learning content embedded that has been curated by other teachers. Social awareness can also be developed by using the tool Flipgrid. Flipgrid has become really, really popular, and it's awesome to use with students, because students have the opportunity to post a video for a question response. They can really show who they are. I have the experience of, I taught first grade for many years, and I use this with my students in first grade. And I can remember when I had a student who rarely ever spoke up in class for any type of academic responses, but he was a very active child. And I remember when we first started using Flipgrid, the responses that I get from him were like really amazing, because you never knew that he had all of these feelings or all of these thoughts inside, because he didn't believe that he could contribute in class. So Flipgrid is a great way of being able to have students respond and record their responses and participate, and then look at the responses of others, so they can understand their differences and others and build empathy. There are a variety of curated lessons on Flipgrid, and it is also free for teachers. So now we come to the relationship building and building relationship skills. And here we're really looking for students to develop their communication skills. This is where they practice with social engagement, building relationships, working as a team, and seeking help and helping others. And so you can use some team building apps to use technology to build this skill, and also the games or gaming. Classcraft is one of the applications that allow students to build relationships, and it is relevant to what they love to do today. If you have students who are gamers and love avatars and love earning prizes and levels, this is a great tool to use for your classroom. It is modeled after Minecraft, and it is free for teachers at a basic level, but to really get all of the social emotional learning tools, you have to go to a premium subscription. Classcraft is recommended that you check out, because it awards students for their individual progress, but more than that, it also awards for team. It awards and it takes away points based on what your team is doing. So it really makes students aware of their individual decision making and how their decisions affect their team. Additionally, building relationship skills and doing teamwork can come in handy with an old-fashioned scavenger hunt. I always love scavenger hunts growing up, where you get the list of things and you partner up with your buddy or your team, and you go looking for those things. You can use Goose Chase just like an old-fashioned scavenger hunt, and kids get really excited about the possibility of being the leader or the winner, or just the discovery of the things that are on that list. They can do things like post a video, add text. There are a variety of ways that they can show what you are looking for in your list than just a check off like in the old days. So Goose Chase is recommended for building those team skills and relationships. Finally, we get to responsible decision making, and I always think of this, although these aren't linear tools, they are, sometimes you think, okay, if they can do all of that, when they finally are able to do all of those things, manage their emotions, have self-control and self-efficacy, and have a really good self-confidence, then they'll be able to make responsible decisions. Well, this is one that is very important, and it helps students. The goal of this is we want students to be able to identify problems and be able to problem solve. That's with critical thinking, analyzing situations, reflecting on the decisions that they have made, and really being responsible ethically. And the tech tools that help develop these skills are your team building apps, and also some games that help you do that. One that comes to mind always with being responsible and making responsible decisions is the Class Dojo, because it has a place where it allows for independent behavior motivation as well as team. And it has a component in there, which is Mojo, is a video series that is specifically designed to help students develop a growth mindset. And kids in grades K through 3 really appreciate the learning the language, all about growth mindset, and earning those points that they can get for individual and team motivations, even classroom motivations. It's a great tool. And although they've embedded a lot of the other things similar to a learning management system and similar to Seesaw, you can have a blogging area or a student portfolio, which will also allow students to track their growth over time. It has these specific growth mindset activities embedded in Class Dojo and specific things to earn points for independent and team motivation. So it is also free for teachers and is highly recommended when working with the early childhood age group. There's also an app called Super Better, and you can log into Super Better and it may ask you how you feel, and then it'll give you suggestions on what you can do to build yourself up in these areas. It helps you to build resilience, improve your mental health. It may tell you that you need to relax. It also helps you at solving problems and provides some type of gameplay. That is Super Better. And then there's Thrively, which is a sort of goal setting app, which allows a teacher to build in class activities, or they can pinpoint individual learning goals for students to build their strengths along the social emotional learning activities and competencies. All right, so I'm going to stop there, and I've seen the chats pop up, and I've kind of gone quickly without any responses. So if you're thinking about some of the things that we've talked about in all the 5 competencies, are there any questions? Let's see.
Dr. Waters, this is Greg, the moderator.
Yes.
Just so you know, after your presentation's done here, I'm taking all of this information down to my wife, who is teaching 3rd grade online right now.
Okay.
And we'll be able to apply what you've just shown us in a matter of moments. So thank you very much.
Great. And I can see the chat pop up, but I can't, for some reason now, I can't access it.
Oh, okay. Let's see. There was a question about whether you can provide a link to your presentation. The ELCC is still working on a site to host some of the presentations, but I don't know if you have a site you could share.
Okay, yes, I can I'll place the link in the chat, and it will be in the recording. And will participants receive the recorded video?
They'll have availability to it, yes.
Okay, so I'll place I do have a link that I can place, and I need to shorten so it'll be easy to get to. Yes.
Okay, thank you. Are you able to see the chat now?
Oh, yes, now I can. Thank you.
I think there's a couple questions in there.
Okay, so let's see. We got the link presentation. Yes, this is great for the early childhood education. I taught early childhood. That's my specialty. That's my area, my teaching area that I've been for many years. And these are great. And so we'll make sure that you get the link to the presentation. Let's see. Could any of this work with teaching teachers? Absolutely. The Thrively, in fact, and I think the Super Better is the one that you can use as an individual, as an adult, and it helps guide you. And even Thrively, you can go in and put in skills, or there's a little test that you do to test where you are. And as an adult, you can use that with a group of teachers as well. Let's see. And with special education, yes, this works across the line, all content areas. And yes, definitely you could use this with special education. You can make modifications to the games if you need to. Okay. Let's see. When you refer to using Class Dojo, you can use it as a class-wide tool and use it individually. In my experience, I've used it with, let's see. Oh, wait, let me finish reading your post first. Okay, you've used it with Dojo with K3. Oh, okay. So I'm really, really passionate about this. So my answer is going to show that probably. And of course, you don't want to make it as shaming, because it could be. It just depends on how you manage it. So I always focus on the positive points, but I mean, it's unrealistic to say that students never earn negative points, but they don't have to be publicly shared. So just like when you are in class and you discipline children, you don't always do it out loud and say, okay, Johnny, you're talking out again, because that could lead to shaming. But you may have a separate conversation with Johnny and say, hey, Johnny, this is the way we do, indicate that we need to say something in class. So it all depends on how you sell it and how you sell it to your parents, because you could always get those parents who say, well, that's not fair. They got so many points, but they got these negative points. It can always be that way unless you manage to control it right up front, and you target it as, hey, this is a growing mechanism that I'm using in my classroom for students. And it's unrealistic to say that they don't ever do anything wrong. I know some parents will say, my child never does anything. You've got those parents who says, they don't do that at home. But it's unrealistic to say that they'll never have any negative points. But we're trying to teach them the growth mindset. So maybe they weren't able to get all these positive points right away, but they don't have to stay that way, because we are using this tool to help them to grow. I hope that answered the question. Let's see if I missed any others. Okay, in higher ed, are there ways SEL into post-secondary? Wow, I'm sure there are. And if you reference the CASEL website, they have additional tools. Because I work in K-12, I don't know of those resources that would be especially powerful in the higher ed environment, but I know that the CASEL website has a plethora of resources on there that you can reference. Oh, okay. And someone just responded to your inquiry. Esports, yes, very popular now.
And Dr. Waters, could you repeat how our participants could get your slides? There was another reference to getting a copy of your slides as well.
Yes, I'm going to post the link. Why don't I do that right now? I can post a link here. I'm going to copy it. I did share it with the committee, but they may not have gotten around to posting that just yet. So let's see.
We haven't.
Oh, okay. Okay. So I've got it as anyone with the link can view. And copy the link. And let's see. I'm going to just shorten it real quick. No, that's not it. Hold on. Let me stop sharing temporarily.
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay. Copy the link. I hope that this has been helpful. Again, I'm really, really passionate about this and want to make sure that everybody has the tools that they can use with students. I'm just going to get a tiny CC here. All right, that's going to be at tiny.cc/SEL Tech, but I'll copy that so you can get it right.
You can. And there's, while you were doing that, there was a question, which apps would you recommend for high school?
For high school, absolutely the Minecraft or Classcraft is great because many of them are still into the gaming. I've actually had some people, it seems really funny, but I've seen a high school teacher use Class Dojo, and that just really seems funny to me, but he just marketed it. And, you know, I guess sometimes high schoolers are like big kids. And so they got into the competition of earning points. I don't remember what subject, I think it was history, but you can pretty much use many of these tools on the secondary, but it's just what kind of spin you put on it. Definitely take advantage of Flipgrid because, you know, kids at that age, they're already making videos. And so you could just turn it around and use the content that you want to share and how you want to help them develop these skills using Flipgrid as a platform.
Dr. Waters, are you able to see the additional questions in the chat?
Okay, I've used Go Noodle with high school students. It was great. Okay, yes, Go Noodle even. You don't imagine, but yes. The link is, oh, tinycc/SEL Tech, and I placed it so that you'll have it in the chat. You can copy and paste it there. Flipgrid.
Are you able to just copy and paste it in the chat?
Yes, I did.
Okay.
Oh, you know what? I think I just sent it to Karen.
Okay.
Let me send that to everyone.
All right, that'd be great.
Okay, there it is. All right, great. Now you should see it. Okay, have I missed any other questions? Let's see.
Looks like there's a question from Brianna. It sounds like SEL aligns fairly well with metacognition. Is this the case, or is SEL more comprehensive?
I'd imagine that it does align with metacognition, but it is, in what I have seen, and when you think about it being the base of all education, and that is my personal opinion, there's no research that backs that, it is more comprehensive because it covers all of those 5 competencies, which are things that we use as adults and that we really need to have in place to be successful adults. So I think it's more than just the thinking about the way, but it's actually the what and how do we do those things. Great. This works wonderfully with children with emotional and behavioral disabilities. Thank you for sharing that, Francis. I have worked with all levels of students, and most recently in my classroom, in my first grade class, I had my last opportunity to work with students in the classroom setting. I had so many students, probably about more than half, that had emotional issues that were undiagnosed. And so being in the classroom alone, and I say alone without additional support, because there are other classes that had support for those students who were diagnosed, these kind of tools help me to really work with those students. What else can I answer for you? Well, I'm going to share my contact information. I don't think it was there before, so let me share my screen. So just in case you need to get in contact with me or want some more information, you can feel free to ask questions. I'm going to share it here. Oh, and don't forget to complete the survey for this conference. And you can find me at Dr. Anita Waters on Twitter, or you can email me your questions if you think of something, or if I've missed something and you just have to ask. Feel free to send me an email.
Dr. Waters, we really appreciate the time and the effort put into the presentation, and really appreciate your presence here at the conference.
It was my pleasure. Thank you so much for having me.
You are welcome. Enjoy. Hopefully you can enjoy the rest of the conference. And for the participants, we'll be ending the meeting here shortly. So enjoy the rest of your day, and thank you for your participation.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
Thanks.